11 plus exam boards in the UK will vary depending on where you live. But by far, the biggest provider of paper-based tests for state grammar schools today is GL assessment. So that's Golf Lima assessment. The thing is, even though they are the biggest provider, depending on where you are, the tests can vary considerably. Now, if you go onto GL's website and download any of their papers, a familiarisation paper, they tend to test 4 disciplines. So that's English, maths, non-verbal reasoning and verbal reasoning. So GL verbal reasoning kind of can be a bit mathematical in that it covers codes and riddles, whereas their English tends to cover comprehension and SPAG skills. GL doesn't test creative writing, but that doesn't mean that some schools using GL don't test creative writing in their second round. So a school in London, probably one of the hardest schools to get into, Henrietta Barnett School for Girls, uses GL for their first round and then writes their own paper for the second round. Now, GL, the big boroughs tend to use GL. So off the top of my head, Kent, huge. Buckinghamshire, huge. The Midlands Consortium, Trafford, Lincolnshire, Gloucestershire. Some of the schools in London use it. Bexley, I think, use GL. And I've probably missed some out. But why am I talking about GL? Because not all GL tests are made the same. So this year, a parent, and also not all schools test all 4 disciplines. So I saw a parent post on Facebook this year. She was very confused. She had gone onto the QE website, that's the School for Boys, and they use GL testing. It's probably another one of the hardest schools to get into in terms of oversubscription. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose today. Oversubscription. And I'll try not to ramble here because I've got so much to cover. But she had gone onto the QE website, clicked the link for the familiarisation paper for QE, and that had taken her out to GL, I believe, which gave her the 4 disciplines. Now, QE only test maths and English from the GL disciplines, but she had thought that they tested verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning as well. Now, while there's nothing wrong in learning those skills, for a school like QE, where these kids are being maybe hundreds of a decimal point splitting these kids as to whether they get a place or not, you would want to focus on only what that school covers. So, for instance, the Lincolnshire schools, I believe they only do non-verbal reasoning and verbal reasoning. Newstead Wood down here in the south, I think again NVR and VR. So schools will test differently. Also, even though schools test all 4 disciplines, it doesn't mean the papers are going to be the same. Different boroughs will have different testing. And anecdotally, and we can only go on hindsight, like I heard, the Trafford exam seemed to be quite challenging this year. Whereas from other boroughs, people had said the exam wasn't quite so challenging. So while all 11 plus exams are challenging, not all GL, who is the biggest paper-based provider of 11 plus testing, not all the exams are the same. So don't take it from me, don't take it from social media, go onto your target school's website and don't just click the familiarisation link if it's GL, because that might take you to all 4 disciplines. You need to look at their admissions policy, look at their testing policy for year 7, and make sure that you understand exactly what is required from that GL board. Because like I say, this poor lady from QE had probably spent an awful lot of time studying the verbal reasoning and the non-verbal reasoning. And although that any education is going to be helpful for your child, it's not going to help your child get into that highly selective school. And like I say, Newstead Wood, I believe is just verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. They don't test the maths and English part. Also, beware, because what does English contain? So even though the website, your school's website may say test English, find out what that means, because sometimes in English you might get comprehension and SPAG, sometimes you might not. And vice versa for the verbal reasoning, you can get closed type questions in there as well. And just because something has appeared in the past does not mean it will appear in the future. It's like, for instance, rhyming synonyms. They are a killer if your kids have not seen them. And by the way, my website, and you can get that from my profile here, and my homepage as a link to a 50 question freebie that I created of rhyming synonyms. And I created that 4 or 5 years ago. And I did it because when the question type first came out, I didn't have a clue how to do them. And I don't have the most logical brain. I'm much more kind of a language type brain. So I created the giveaway for me, really, for my own edification, because I'm not a tutor, but I'm a writer for the 11 plus, but I wanted to understand that question type. And it is an absolute killer if your kids haven't seen it. Yet it doesn't appear on familiarisation papers that you can get free from GL. So just beware, they can throw in a curved ball anytime. So if somebody's telling you this is on this paper, this question type will be there, rest assured they don't know. The only people that know what's going to be on a GL paper is the people writing the test for that particular school or consortium of schools. So I think I've covered everything GL there. If you've got any questions, please do ask in the comments. And if you want my freebie for rhyming synonyms, you go to my website. That's S.L.Ager.co.uk. It is on my profile. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage. You can put your email in there and you'll be sent the freebie. And it's 50 questions. It's pretty generous. And if you've got any other questions about GL that I've not covered, I can probably answer them. Just stick them in the comments. So I hope that helps.